Welcome to the deep dive. Right now, things are pretty wild over in the U.S. Senate. We're watching this marathon session, a voterama, they call it. It's been going for what, over 17 hours?
That's right, 17 hours and counting, all focused on amendments to Donald Trump's big tax and spending bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
And the stakes feel incredibly high here. I mean, it barely got through the House, 215 to 214, super close.
Right, and now they're facing this deadline, Friday, July 4th, to get it through the Senate. It's really coming down to the wire.
So for this deep dive, we really want to zero in on how this huge bill is, well, directly hitting the world of cryptocurrency. We've got some sources giving us an inside look at crypto amendments being proposed, the debates. It's pretty intense.
Exactly. And our job here is to try and cut through some of that noise. Because, this isn't just about tax codes or spending lines. It's really about the future of digital assets. Are they getting integrated into the system, or are there hurdles being put up? We want to pull out the key insights, what it means for you, whether you're deep in the crypto space or just kind of watching from the sidelines.
Okay, so let's unpack this voterama a bit more. You said intense, and it sounds it. Lawmakers just proposing hundreds of amendments, and they're voting on them really fast. That sounds chaotic.
It is. It's designed for speed, not necessarily deep deliberation on every single point. It's this legislative pressure cooker. And what's fascinating here is how these high-stakes moments often become these crucibles, right? Where different ideas about the economy, about technology, they just collide. And the results can have pretty significant implications for, well, everyone.
Right. And speaking of collisions, let's talk about Senator Cynthia Lummis. She's put forward amendments specifically targeting crypto taxes. This is where it gets really interesting for anyone, holding or using digital assets. She's been quite clear, saying she wants to end what she calls unfair tax treatment for crypto, wants Americans to be able to use digital assets without fear of tax violations. And she specifically mentioned miners and stakers being taxed twice, once when they get the rewards and then again when they sell. That sounds not right.
That's a major sticking point for a lot of people in the industry. And her amendment, according to the info from her office, tries to tackle that head on. So first, there's a proposal to waive taxes on crypto transactions under $300.
Oh, okay. Like for small purchases.
Exactly, with a $5,000 total cap per year. And importantly, it explicitly says stablecoins are included in that.
Interesting. What else?
Well, it would also exclude most crypto lending agreements from being taxed. That's another big area. And crucially, for those miners and stakers you mentioned, crypto earned from airdrops, mining, staking it wouldn't be taxed until you actually sell it.
Ah, so it fixes that double taxation issue she raised.
Precisely. And one more thing. It would apply the wash sale rule to crypto, the 30-day rule.
Right. The one that stops you from selling at a loss and then immediately buying back something similar just for the tax break.
Yeah, that's the one. Brings crypto more in line with, say, stocks in that regard.
Okay, let's pause there. How might these specific changes, the $300 waiver, the staking rule, how might that actually impact someone's, personal financial planning if they're doing some mining or staking or even just dabbling?
Well, it could be pretty significant. For miners and stakers, it's clearer, potentially less of a tax hit up front. You wouldn't owe tax just for receiving the rewards, only when you decide to sell. That could encourage holding or reinvesting. And for everyday users, that small transaction waiver, it makes using crypto for, like, buying a coffee or something much less of a tax headache. You don't have to track every tiny gain or loss.
Yeah, that does sound like it lowers the barrier quite a bit.
Definitely. It reduces that friction, especially if you are mining, staking, lending, or just trying to make those small transactions work.
But not every crypto idea is getting traction, right? There was another amendment, quite different, that got, shot down earlier this week. This one was from Democrat Senators Merkley, Warren, and Jack Reed.
That's right, a very different focus. Their proposal aimed to stop government officials, and even their families, from offering or promoting a whole range of digital assets. We're talking cryptocurrencies, meme coins, NFTs, stable coins, pretty much the whole spectrum.
Wow, that's broad. Who would it have applied to? Like just Congress or wider?
It's much wider. President, vice president, members of Congress, but also lots of other government officials. And it wasn't just them. It included their spouses, their children, and get this, even former special government employees for up to a year after they leave, like Elon Musk, for instance.
Elon Musk, because of his previous government role.
Potentially, given his role as Trump's former cost-cutting czar. It was a very wide net they were casting.
So why did it get shot down Senator Lummis was involved in opposing this one too, wasn't she?
She was. She said, she understood the concerns about ethics, but argued this proposal would actually cause serious harm to American innovation and competitiveness.
Mhm.
Her point was that it just goes too far, especially by including family members. And she made this comparison, saying if the U.S. had passed a law like this back in the early days of the internet, well, it would basically signal that America was closed for business for that new technology.
That's quite a statement, comparing crypto now to the early internet.
It is. And it really highlights this ongoing tension, doesn't it? How do you balance ethical conduct for public servants with, not stifling innovation in emerging tech like crypto? It forces you to think about where that line should be drawn. It's a tough question.
Okay, and speaking of Elon Musk, he didn't stay quiet about the main bill itself, did he? He seems to have reignited his feud with Trump over this whole thing. I remember he was Trump's cost-cutting guy for a bit, and they had some kind of online spat before about this bill, too.
That's right. And now Musk is back, and he's making some pretty dramatic threats on X, Twitter. He actually tweeted, if this insane spending bill passes, the America Party will be formed the next day.
Wow. A whole new political party.
That's the threat. He added, our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty. So, yeah, pretty bold.
What's his main beef with the bill?
Yeah.
Spending.
Exactly. It's the amount of government spending it allows. Estimates are it could add something like $3.3 trillion to the national debt over 10 years. Musk called that figure a disgusting abomination. He's clearly not happy about the fiscal implications.
And he's taking it out on lawmakers directly. I saw something about him threatening primaries.
Oh, absolutely. Even though he apparently helped fund Trump's campaign, he's now vowing to unseat any lawmaker who votes for this bill. He tweeted something like, every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest jet increase in history should hang their head in shame.
Strong words.
And then he added, they will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on this earth. So, yeah, he's drawing a line in the sand.
It's just fascinating how someone like Musk, even with his past political links, can just jump in and try to shape things like this based on his own, economic views.
It really is.
Yeah.
It shows how these high-profile figures can use their platforms to challenge legislation, potentially shake up political alliances, maybe even reshape things down the line, especially when it comes to big issues like national debt.
So, okay, wrapping this up.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway here? We've seen this push for crypto tax changes, a fight over ethics and innovation, and now these huge arguments about spending and debt with figures like Musk weighing in. It's all happening so fast.
It really is. And I think the key thing is that this whole voterama, this whole bill, it's kind of a snapshot of where things stand politically on digital assets and maybe broader fiscal philosophy, too. And, some sources we looked at were even suggesting bigger ripple effects. Things like, could this bill trigger a U.S. debt crisis? Could that lead to a Bitcoin boom? There's even talk about the U.S. potentially being front-run by other countries buying up Bitcoin for their reserves.
Wow, so the implications could be global, not just domestic.
Potentially, yes. The final version of this big, beautiful bill, whatever it looks like, might not just shift things in the U.S. crypto scene or for American finances. It could genuinely influence the global economic stage, the tech landscape for years. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. What are those deeper ripple effects? How might these votes in Washington actually shape the future adoption, the regulation of digital assets all around the world? And how does that maybe change how you think about financial innovation going forward?